Hey guys, welcome to Proko. My name is Stan Prokopenko. Today I want to talk about the Proko skull. I want to talk a little bit about the process that we went through to take it from an idea like 5 years ago to now manufacturing a bunch of them. And I'm going to be at conventions this year and I'll have those with me there. So if you're going to be at CTN or Lightbox this year, make sure to check out my booth. Oh, Jesus. Get yourself one of these bad boys. So these are on pre-sale right now. You can get them at proko.com/skull. Little insert. Ta-da! I have a lot of prototypes. We went through many phases and box design and all that. I'm gonna explain all that in this video, but before I do, I wanna talk about the importance of studying the skull, because like what's the whole purpose of this anyway, right? When I was a student, we drew the skull constantly. It was even a warm-up exercise. Like if you get to class early, sometimes the teacher would just have a skull there on a chair or something, and you just sit, you warm up by drawing a skull. It's like you can't draw too many skulls because the structure of it is so important if you're a portrait artist. The structure of the skull makes up so much of the structure of the surface forms of the face. I mean, we have the soft parts here, but then cheekbone, brow ridge, the whole cranium, the jaw, all of that is just the skull. And even the parts that are mushy, knowing what's underneath it is still important to get the forms on top correctly. So like the tooth cylinder, it's important to know that that's underneath the lips so you can curve the lips around the tooth cylinder, stuff like that. Yep, hold on. So I just bought this awesome drawing by Stephen Bauman, and you can see this is a demo. I think he did this in class. I wasn't there for the class, but I love this drawing. And what he had a live model, and then he put a skull right next to the model in the same pose, so that the students could look and compare and understand the structure underneath the actual portrait. How much of this actually gets transferred over to this? I think this is a great exercise. If you have a live model, take this out, put it in the same pose, and try to look for clues of the bone on the surface. Anyway, I think a lot of you going through my anatomy course understand how important the underlying structure is to the surface, and how important it is to understand that stuff. Some of this is pretty complicated. It's organic, but we can break this down into simpler forms. And so I'll show you guys in another video how to study the skull. So Skelly was created in like 2013 or something in my figure course. Then once we started the anatomy course, we redesigned the whole thing. I decided that we need to figure out a proportional system. For the skull, we chose Loomis because that's what you learn at school, right? You learn the Loomis method. Not necessarily the cranial mass and the jaw that I teach, but at least the proportional system where you have the thirds of the face, right? From the hairline to the brow to the nose to the chin, and then side view is a square, 5 eye widths, that sort of thing. These are things that most artists kind of follow as their base average. So I wanted to make a skull that fits those same proportions that you learn at school. So if you're going to be drawing a skull hundreds of times, you want to draw a skull that has an average basic proportion that you study. Because I know a lot of schools have casts of like real skulls, and I've drawn several of these, and a lot of times there's some kind of deviation from the average on these skulls, and that's fine. You should draw varieties of proportions to kind of get used to seeing how things deviate. But if you're gonna draw a skull hundreds of times, maybe even thousands of times, I think it's good to draw the average, the base, because then you can expand from that in any direction. So once we finished modeling, and Marc, by the way, Marc is our modeler, he's amazing. But once we finished the skull, I was so happy with it, I wanted to 3D print it, right? And that was kind of around the time where 3D printers were just like getting really popular, and I was like, man, I want to 3D print this. And I was talking to Shane Olson, he's an awesome ZBrush teacher, and he was telling me about this company in China, Onage, who does really high quality 3D prints. And they printed it out, and when they 3D printed it, the bottom row of teeth got hidden, and they didn't print the bottom row. And back then, we weren't even thinking really about a tripod mount. We were just, hey, let's see what this looks like as a 3D print. And we also decided to use little boxes in here to attach the jaw, and it just kind of like slides into a boxy hole. But that broke off too easy. You see this one's broken. And so I was like, no, we gotta figure out a different method. The size was a little bit too big. It's heavy. And also Court Jones was at my house when this came in, and he's like, is that a infant skull? Is that like a human baby? And I was like, wow, yeah, that actually does kind of look like the same size that a baby's skull would be. So I was like, okay, that's gotta change. So the next print we did was this one. So instead of 5 inches tall, it was 4 inches tall. 4 inches just felt better in my hand. Get out of here, Michael Scott. And now we also did a tripod mount. We started thinking where to put it. And what we did is we put it in the hole, the foramen magnum. And this is the hole for the spinal cord. And we just insert this in here, and you got the tripod mount, and you just attach it to the tripod and you can take it off and on. But I was like, well, what if it comes off, someone bumps it and it slides out and the skull falls? It just seemed too dangerous, and also all these 2 extra pieces that, if you lose them, now you can't use it. So it just seemed like a very unelegant solution to this. So the next prototype was this one. This is where we started. We just put it to the back. We kept the hole for the spinal cord as its own thing, and then on the back of that, we put the tripod mount. And that worked really, really well. One, because the tripod fits a lot better if it's a little more farther back. If you're trying to put the tripod in here, the jaw can kind of get in the way of the base of the tripod, depending on the tripod you're using. But if it's back here, it fits better, and there's no extra pieces. It's glued inside. But these 3D prints, these are expensive. You can't just 3D print every unit. Like this one print, I think it's either $350 or like $500 just for one. This is a really high quality print. This is the best 3D print I've ever seen. I've not seen a better 3D print. You cannot see any lines. Usually on a 3D print, I could see the little layers. Can't see it on this at all. It's super finely detailed. So to make these affordable enough, we had to make a mold out of the 3D print and cast them. And because the 3D print is so awesome, the cast turned out really detailed too. So yeah, this is the final version. The magnets work wonderfully. All it is just we put little magnets inside the jaw in here, and another magnet right inside the socket there. Right there, little magnet. And it just fits right in. And a little trick, if you want to draw this with the jaw open, all you have to do is like open it and stick maybe a little kneaded eraser in here, big or small, depending on how much you want the jaw to be open. And you don't even see it because it's in here. You put it right in there. So once we had all that finalized, I think it was like 3 years ago, we did a small run of like 25 of them. And I saved a bunch of them to give away to friends. But we sold 17, I think, and we sold out in the first day, and I was amazed. I was like, this is awesome. And we asked everyone who bought it to do a survey and to tell us what they think. 16 out of 17 of the people took the survey. I was blown away by how much people actually cared to provide feedback. That was awesome. So thank you to all the initial beta testers of this thing. You guys are very helpful. People liked them. Initial release was very successful, so we didn't make too many changes in this round now. So now 3 years later, the only real difference is before we sold them in boxes like this. It was just a cardboard box, old Proko logo. For this round, we're printing hundreds of these now. I designed kind of an iPhone style box. Much cleaner. You got a picture of it in the front. Got a nice logo. anatomical skull, very clean. The back gives a little bit of the details. But oh, here, this is funny. This is my initial tests. You can see all I did was just printed each side separately, and I just kind of taped this onto an actual box. I am extremely happy with this. It started as a little project for myself because I wanted a 3D print of the skull because I was so happy with it. And now it's gone to this where we're manufacturing them. Thanks to Desmoda of Ownage, to Marc, the sculptor, and the rest of the team that's just been helping out with all the stuff. All right, guys, so thank you for sticking around, listening to me talk about my own stuff. Here's all the prototypes, probably not in the right order, but here they are. So again, these are on pre-sale now. If you want to order them, we're gonna start shipping them really soon, but they're on pre-sale for a short amount of time at proko.com/skull. So go check them out, and I will be back shortly with another video on how to use these things and about the structure of the skull so you could maybe help you use it. So thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.